Simon here from Marineware. Today we're going to talk to you a little bit about the C-Spray gun from DeVilbiss, which is designed for our industry. But first of all, before we talk about that, let's go back a little bit in history and see how we got here. DeVilbiss, as many of you will know, have been making spray guns for a long time. And in the marine industry, the old favourite was the old DeVilbiss JGA. When some market research was done through the marine industry, that's what all the marine sprayers wanted to spray with, was the old DeVilbiss JGA. It's a wonderful gun, but what made it wonderful? And what made it wonderful was the technology at the front end of the gun, at this bit here in the air cap. Really smashed the paint up into fine particles and gave exceptional finishes. In recent years, with the automotive industry being such a massive user of paint, it's become more about transfer efficiency. Okay, so that's how much paint that starts off in the pot and goes onto the job. Now, in the automotive world, they're using a lot of paint, so they need to keep waste down. They also need to keep the amount of paint going into the atmosphere down. In the marine industry, we're slightly different. We don't actually spray paints day in, day out like the car industry. And we don't actually use as much paint as we probably think we do. So what's more important for us painting very large high-end objects is that we get an off-the-gun finish and we don't use the processes afterwards. Or if we do need to use a polishing process afterwards, we minimize it as much as possible. So this is going back to the JGA that used to get amazing finishes off the gun, used to obliterate the paint into really small particles, which is what enabled us to get those really good finishes. Because of the technology change, we changed into what's called HVLP, and I think some of you out there will remember the old HVLP, high velocity, low pressure. And that was all about transfer efficiency and being compliant to legislation. And they weren't very good as guns. I mean, they worked. I mean, they were okay for primers and bits and pieces, but they weren't very good at doing top coat finishes in our industry. So we moved into the more compliant guns. You'll know the Advanced HD. We use them a lot out there as a spray gun. And they're really good. They've got good transfer efficiency. We've moved on a little bit and we asked for a spray gun to be developed for our industry, which is the C-Spray gun. This one here, this is the pressure version, and this is the gravity version. And we wanted the paint again to be smashed up into small particles, so it was all about off-the-gun finishes. And that's what these guns do to it for us. Now, they're better than the old JGA, so they're not going to throw quite as much paint into the atmosphere as the old JGA did. But their transfer efficiency is still not great. It's about finish and about not having that process afterwards. All the technology is in the air cap at the end here. This is the important bit. With the C-Spray gun, there are two air caps. There is one, which is the CDT air cap, okay, controlled droplet technology, CDT. This is this air cap here, okay. On the gravity-fed gun, we have what's called the CDTG, the gravity gun. With this air cap on the gravity gun, we need to create a certain amount of Venturi effect to help pull the paint out of the pot and out of the gun. So this is why this air cap's slightly different. These will give you amazing spray patterns. They're large spray patterns designed for spraying yachts, okay? Marineware are now the sole distributor for the C-Spray gun in the marine industry in the UK. We have them on offer at the moment as well, so now's a good time to look at it. But the high transfer rates still has a part to play in our industry. So in the DeVilbiss world, they now do what's called the TransTac air caps. There's one here, this is a 515, but it's got TransTac written on the top, which means it is compliant. And by compliant, it means it can work at lower pressures. So we would suggest that you still use these air caps, because when we're doing primers and high builds and things like that, they're excellent because we don't need to obliterate the paint into the tiniest of particles. We want to get as much paint from the gun onto the job. So we suggest, actually mainly the TransTac 510 air cap is very well suited for primers and will help reduce the amount of overspray and get most of the paint from the gun onto the job. But then when we move into the top coats, we recommend that you go to the CDT or the CDTG air cap, because that's all about finish. So it's about off-the-gun finish or reducing any polishing that you need to do at a later date. Give them a go, give the Marineware technical guys a call. They'll come down, help you with the selection of air caps, the selection of guns that's right for using the paint that you use and using the facilities that you use and the types of paint jobs you're trying to achieve.